Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming out. I know it's early, but everybody made it through that long breakfast line. Hopefully you got some food and ready to go for another great day. Last night was really, as I said, really special. First time here at the conference, so it's amazing to be here. I'm going to try to talk. Can everybody hear me back there? All right, I'm going to try to talk loud since we speakers, the mic's not working right now, but very special group. As I said last night in my speech, it feels like family here. Incredible to just see the energy in the room, the energy over the weekend, and just the passion for leading people, for coaching, for teaching, which we're all doing day in and day out, aren't we? All kinds of levels. So raise your hand if you were here yesterday at 3 o'clock for the on-court. Okay, so a lot of you were able to make it out. Just a quick recap, because it'll kind of flow into what we're going to do this morning, is yesterday was moving without the ball. So I love to look at players and see what they're doing when they're not hitting because of the percentages. Doubles, 4 players on a court, only 1 player hitting a ball at every given moment. That means that 3 are not hitting. That's 75% of the time that your players are on the court competing. They're not even touching a ball, but they're valuable. They're in that point. Okay, that's a large percentage. Singles, your players, they hit the ball, the opponent hits the ball, they hit the ball, the opponent. That's 50% of the time. So I said, wow, that's pretty crazy. Half to the majority of time in tennis in our competition, our players are not even hitting the ball, but they're part of the point. So what they're doing without the ball, there's a ton of value in terms of reading the ball. If you ask me, hey coach, in your opinion, what's the most valuable weapon in tennis? A lot of people, there's a lot of different answers. A lot of people nowadays say the power, the forehand, the serve and return. Some people say the lower body, the feet. Okay, the footwork is the most important thing in tennis now. In my opinion, it's the eyes. The eyes can be your biggest tool, your biggest weapon, because they can help you see the play, see the ball early. Again, that's without the ball. That can trigger then the brain, okay, to say, hey, this guy's in trouble, my opponent's in trouble. I think I'm going to be able to sneak in or at least move in and improve my court position, okay? And then that signals to my feet, hey, get going, move in. Okay, so to me, the eyes are important. Again, those are things without the ball. Okay? However, we got to teach our kids, our players, what to do with the ball. Okay? And so today I'm going to focus on 2 important shots that will help us at every level. And they really improved my team this year. Austin Krychek and Ivan Dodik, who started playing together in April, and they just made tour in the year-end finals, top 8, and finished number 6 team in the world. Okay, and for Austin, that was his first time in his career in 10 years to finish inside the top 10. And we hit about 1,500 punch lobs in practice, okay, to utilize in his matches. That helped him achieve that goal. And we hit about another 1,800 dump volleys. And we're going to go over those 2 scenarios and why they're important today. Okay? So the first one is the punch lob. And what I mean by that is on the return, okay, we typically think about going cross-court, highest percentage, right? Low part of the net, big part of the court. Okay? Start out going cross-court. There's also going down the line, which I'm a big fan of in doubles at every level, because I think it's the hardest volley in tennis. But we must not forget about the lob off the return. Okay? Especially if we're facing a really valuable net opponent, very good player over there. We got to push them off the net. But at every level that I've seen, even the pro level, okay, that surprise punch lob off the return, the overhead is one of the hardest shots to hit in tennis. It is. Okay? Why is it hard to hit? Why is it so tricky and challenging? And the way I thought of it is, if you think about it in tennis, as we've all played and taught and fed and seen our players play, we typically see the ball coming from this point of view, level. Okay? If we get out and we start hitting, and I feed Dr. Bryce here, and we're hitting this way, right? Okay, parallel. My eyesight, my level. Then I come up and I hit volleys. It's still this way, right? Ground strokes, drop shots, every shot. But the only shots that the perception changes and the visual changes is what? Overheads, serve, and overheads, right? And even the returns are the visuals this way. So you go through warm up, you start playing your match, and then all of a sudden, you're dealing with the ball. There goes Fetter. You're dealing with a ball that's up above. So your visual, your eyesight has to adapt. Then you add in the pressure, the opponent's moving. Okay, so it's a very, very important shot to utilize for our players. Okay, singles and doubles. Okay, I know singles sounds crazy because they're serving, probably staying back, but mainly in doubles you're going to use this to change the visual. Okay, and so let me have my volunteers here, and I just need 3 volunteers is good. You want to serve? Just nice and easy, serving from no man's land. You want to be the net person, let's do it, man. And you'll just be the returner. Yeah, and we're just going to break this down. My man Justin here is going to start inside no man's land just for practice right now. We got our doubles position here. And Garrett, what he's working on right now, and we talked about this with Austin Krychek, is getting under the ball and initially getting the ball up. Okay? Get the height. We don't care if we miss it long. Just get the ball nice and high. Good. You can play the point out. Right now we're just going to do repetition, and he's just concentrating on the height. Obviously we can put out targets. Just a couple more. Perfect. Okay? The goal is the height. Even with Austin, we're not trying to hit winners. Okay? The objective is to change the pattern. The objective is to get them to back up, get them off the net, and get their visual changing to try to hit the hardest shot in tennis for most of these players. Okay? And I tell them, even if it lands short, one more please, even if it lands short but it's really, really high, let it drop, let it drop, let it drop. Very good. That's nowhere near the baseline, is it? Okay, nowhere near the baseline, but it's a great lob. And that brings me to something I use with my players, and it's called the equal sign. Be careful what your equal sign is. And I'll talk about that with my players. And what I mean by that is you'll have a player that'll hit that shot and they'll be disappointed. And I'll say, hey, what's the problem there? That wasn't a very good shot. And I said, well, why? What's your equal sign of that being a great shot? Well, it needs to be on the line, in the corner. I said, well, I'd love to do that too, but you know, even the pros aren't doing that. That's not realistic. Your expectations of your equal sign make it difficult for you to sustain that in competition when there's pressure, right? We've seen our players play in practice, and you see them in matches, and we're all human. We want to win. We can fear losing, and all these things, emotions come into it. So we have to adjust our equal sign to our players to give them some expectations that make them relax and make them play free and make them be brave and loose to where they execute more often. So give them the equal sign and say, hey, let's change that. The equal sign to a great punch lob, as Garrett just demonstrated really well there, is he wasn't trying to be perfect. He was trying to get under the bottom of the ball, get it really, really high. So even if the net guy can hit it, all right, he's got to adjust maybe to the wind, maybe the sun, maybe the timing. Like I said, he's been seeing the ball for one set this way or 8 returns so far, and now he's having to look up. Okay, so the equal sign for him might be this season, hey, I'm going to try that 6 times this set. My equal sign to success might be, hey, I'm not worried about winning the point. I'm worried about trying to see if I can get it nice and high. Even if it lands short, it's still a good shot. If I lose the point, my equal sign is okay. It's still the right thing to do because it's going to open up my cross-court returns, my down-the-line returns, okay? The other play, just 2 more here, is now, okay, in 1 second, my fault, 1 second, is what we see, and this might be a little bit more advanced nowadays because I'm going to show it. Definitely you'll see it a ton. We face it a lot on the Pro Tour, but I think even in some of our advanced players, you'll see I formation. You'll see I formation. And so I want to go to the ad side to demonstrate this. So yep, I'm going to go I formation. Garrett's going to shift over. The reason I'm doing this, because my man over there is fellow lefty. So where is his backhand right now? Okay, over on this side of the court, correct? So one play here, that's a good play, is Garrett is going to lob. I'm going to show you 2 things. He's going to do the punch lob down the line, trying to get it nice and high away from the righty overhead. But if Justin stays to the left, because most of the time our formation, we're just going to stay in the middle, it's a great lob to get to his backhand and come in behind it. So once again, Garrett's going to go down the line lob, punch lob, and come in behind it. Perfect. And now Justin's forced to play a very difficult backhand running over. And a lot of times if he's serving volley, he's got to go back, okay, and retrieve that. It's not an easy play. Okay? The other one is if Justin serves the same ball, okay, and you're going to go left here, and you're going to go punch lob diagonal, okay, punch lob diagonal, and coming on in, that's okay. Then, oh, I told you left, didn't I? I meant your left, my right. Let's try that again. You're gonna go to your right. My fault, everybody. Away from the forehand, punch lob diagonal, coming on in. Now I know Justin's a lefty. This works really good if we got it to another righty there, because then it's his backhand. But I think everybody gets the picture of there's different drills and different situations where we can throw in the lob. Okay? I get asked a lot once we hit the lob, do we rush in? I'm a big fan of that, okay? Because I believe in doubles, the percentages are if we can take over and build a wall at the net. Again, as I mentioned yesterday, with our job descriptions of each player, everybody's different. Sometimes we just need to stay in your lane. What's your job description? Well, I've got one kid, he's just better at the baseline. My other player, his partner, is way better at the net. Then Garrett, if he's that baseliner, I may have him punch lob, stay back. Let's say I'm the net guy. That's my job description. That's my strength. He might lob, and now I can cherry pick at the net and take over while I have my, as I sometimes call it, my insurance agent back here, that if I get lobbed, he's in his wheelhouse. Okay, everybody got that? So if he loves the net, then we're going to try to both come in and take it over. Right? If he's not as comfortable, no panic. Remember the equal sign? Let's do what equals success sometimes might be playing where he stays back. Okay? Many, many different ways to slice it, many different ways to win. We have a lot of different personalities with our players on the team and different job descriptions for them skill set, strengths, weaknesses, and we just want to play to those. Okay? Any questions on that before we move on to the dump volley? Please feel free to ask anything, any comments, anything that you've seen in your matches based on these situations. And I know we talk about lobs, and again, I know some of this is not new to you, but I think saying things to our students in a different way, maybe labeling it the punch lob, or how to get them to try it by, hey, the equal sign, okay? Or how do they get better? Some players don't have that feel at the beginning. They struggle with it. Have them miss high. Even if it lands short, not an easy ball. Any questions? Everybody good? Okay. The next situation that has really been beneficial, and I see it at all levels, but it is also beneficial this year with Austin and Yvonne, believe it or not, is the dump volley. I'm really excited to show you this and talk about this to finish up today, because I think it's such a great play, and our players and our students can work on it. It is not a drop volley. Okay, so I'll have both of you guys come up. This is not a drop volley. This is purely what it sounds like. It's a dump volley, middle of the service box. Trying to just think about if you have a net on the back of your strings and you're just trying to catch it. Because sometimes I think if we think drop volley, we think it's got to be a winner. They can't touch it. It better bounce twice for it to equals. There's that equal sign again. A great shot. So it puts a little pressure on it being perfect. You miss it in the net. Okay? Some of our players maybe don't have the skill set at that point, wherever they are, to execute that shot. And it's not just executing that shot. We have to remember it's executing it under pressure. So this dump volley takes a little bit of the pressure off. And Justin here is just going to try to touch it, dump it right in the middle of the box. Excellent. Right in the middle of the box. Very good. Perfect. Okay, and again, we can set out targets and put out, trash bins or cones or whatever, but middle of the service box. You think, well, why in the world? I mean, we've been taught, especially as I grew up, volley deep, 3 feet from the baseline, right? And the reason I'm happy and excited to show you this is because sometimes, again, back to that equal sign, that great shot we think we're hitting is feeding right into their strength. Okay, and one thing I've noticed, okay, as I'm 48 right now, in the last 10, 15 years, is the game has changed, hasn't it? All right, a lot of doubles you see is I formation now, or it's even players staying back. My new guy I'm coaching now, John Isner, massive serve, so he likes to stay back. It's not a bad play. Okay? Fognini, Bolelli, they stay back. Jack Sock, unbelievable doubles player, stays back. We're seeing that in juniors, a lot more baseline play. Not as much chip and charge like I used to do, like Edberg, okay? Not as much serve and volley like the McEnroe days and Boris Becker and things like that. So there's a lot more lateral movement and less up and back movement, correct? Is that fair to say? Okay. So sometimes if we play the normal ball and Garrett and I are here playing doubles and we're baseline team, that's our job description, our skill set, our strength, and we're here and they're doing the normal play, which is to volley deep to us. Good. It's playing right into our strength of big forehand, lefty forehand, lob. Okay? We don't mind that. It doesn't put us under pressure. But since we're so used to moving lateral and all the training we do, especially in singles and as it transferred to doubles, if Justin now takes this volley and just tries to dump it in the middle of the box, it forces me out of my comfort zone. Cross court here, cross court dump volley to Garrett. Perfect, guys, great demo. It forces us out of our comfort zone on that baseline and makes us move up. So it tests our ability to move and adjust. Okay, it gets us out of our comfort zone into an uncomfortable position in a much more difficult place to pass and lob because I have less court space. Back here, Garrett and I have got court space. A lot of options, a lot of on that equal sign. Yep, I can lob. I can dip over here. Sorry. I can go line. I can crush middle. Look at you guys covering everything. Okay? But my options are open, and once again, you know I'm more about the mental side of things. I'm comfortable. I'm relaxed because this is my safety zone. But once they dumped it short, A, I've got to see it. Remember the eyes. B, I got to move. And then C, I'm in my uncomfortable position, my zone here. I've got less space. The net looks more of a monster to me. The visual. These guys are closer, right? I try to hit that same ball. I try to hit that same lob. Okay, I don't have the court space. Okay? So, I think it's really important as we do our drills with our players that we think outside the box at every level. Okay, and we don't just get stuck at cross court and down the line returns. We don't get stuck just doing the lateral ground stroke baseline drills. And I know some of you are sometimes working with more beginner players, intermediate players, that you're trying to build those tools and those skill sets. And I get that. But we can learn these. We can develop these tools. Tennis is like a carpenter that has that tool belt. It's got all those spots that we're trying to get our players to develop one at a time. But remind yourselves, remind them, take your time, because it takes time. And not every tool has to be your favorite tool, has to be their favorite tool. So Justin might like the hammer and utilize it more, okay? And maybe he's not big with the measuring tape, the screwdriver, but he knows he's got the ability to use it, okay? And some of those tools like the punch lob and the dump volley are those tools that we can still work on. Give them the right equal sign, okay? So they feel like they're improving and working on it. Okay, they don't have to be perfect. Tennis is not a game of perfection. Okay, so give them that visual, that equal sign that they feel like, hey, I'm getting better at it. I'm starting to have some success at it because you gave them some good expectations. Okay, and when we learn that dump volley, it has helped my team so much this year in achieving their goals. I think it's a great tool for all levels of players, because like I said, it really tests their ability to get off that comfort zone and create something near the net that they're probably not as comfortable with. Okay? I want to tell you a cool study as I talked about perfection in tennis. In 2015, they did a study. And Novak Djokovic at that time had won 3 out of 4 slams. He had finaled the French Open that year and lost in the final. So he finaled all 4, won 3, dominated the rest of the year. Okay, and they did a study of all his points that year. And they took the win-loss percentage. Some of you might have heard this study or heard this story. He dominated, which is crazy at the pro level, but he dominated the whole year. What do you think his winning percentage on average of points was for 2015, the year that he absolutely dominated everybody? Okay, 51, 52. Anybody else? Any guesses? 54. 54. Anybody else? Okay, some of you may have, that. You guys are good. Normally I get 70%, 65%, 80%, okay? But you're coaches, you're smart, you get it. It was 55%. 55%. A few years ago, they had like a top 10 list, and Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal, you guys have heard of those players, right? Yeah. They're not bad. They were all around 54, 55%. 54, 55%. Okay? And they're the best in history. Now, what I love to look at and what I love to speak about and teach, and I think this is really important, is I like to always try to get outside the box and think about the other side. Wait a minute, so you're telling me that these champions lost 45% of the points and they still were that consistent? They still dominated? They still were that mentally tough? That's a lot of points to lose and still maintain focus and grit and control. That should blow you away. That's crazy. Okay? Then, like, my mind always starts to wonder, I go a little bit further with it. I'm like, man, this is really big. If we can teach our kids how to process losing points, because we only need 52, 51, 54% to win the matches. That's how the margins, especially in doubles. If we can teach our players how to handle adversity and that you don't have to be perfect, and in the perspective of the percentages, that's huge for them in competition. That's huge for them in life. Life. I took it a step further. What's, for my baseball fans here, what's a baseball batting average that gets you into the Hall of Fame? 300. Well, ladies and gentlemen, 300 is every 3 times you get up to bat, you failed 2 out of 3 times. 55, 45. Every 3 times you get up to bat, 1 time you succeeded and you're in the Hall of Fame. That's how difficult it is. And then again, I looked at 2 times they failed, but it didn't stop them from losing their drive, their passion, their focus to succeed that 1 hit they needed to win the game and help their team. And then my other passion, basketball. This is a great example. Steph Curry, active player right now. Most of y'all probably have seen him, heard of him. One of the greatest shooters we've ever seen, and it will go down as probably the greatest shooter ever. There was a study, and it may not be right now because it was a little bit ago, but what his career 3-point percentage. Does anybody know what it is? He hits the ball, it seems like makes everyone. Yeah, 38, 43, 39%. That means if he shoots 10, he misses the majority once again. He misses 6. Doesn't matter. What's he going to do when he gets the ball if he's open? Let it fly, baby. He misses 6, but he's okay with it because I only got to make 3 or 4 to help my team win. So I look at the big picture. I don't focus on the loss, the little losses along the way. I focus on what I need to do, staying calm, playing with freedom, being brave, because the percentages allow me to do that. Explain to your players that, give them those illustrations, those examples. And I can't promise a win, but what I can promise is it will help them view the game and competition a little bit differently. It will help them compete a little bit better. It will help them relax a lot more. And if we're doing that, that's going to help them on the court and off the court. And I think sometimes me, We get consumed with the result. That backhand we've been feeding. That second serve they've been struggling with on the double faults. Okay? Yes, that's important. The punch lob's important. The dump volley's important. Our serve in return, first 2 shots of every point. Of course, we should be hitting more of those in practice. Okay? Most important shots in tennis and the most probably under practiced. I talked about that today a little bit, but obviously if you heard from my 3 o'clock on court, moving without the ball, my speech last night, okay, my finish today of the percentages, the equal sign, you know I'm really, really big on the other intangibles. And I promise you it's not just with John Isner, it's not with Bob and Mike, it's not just with Austin Krychek, Sam Query. It's with my high school team that I worked with in Houston. It's with my beginning juniors that I worked with at Lakes Tennis Academy in Frisco. It's with my 3-0 ladies and 3-5 guys that I worked with in Frisco. Okay? And so I encourage all of you to implement these shots, okay, where the game is going. I think they'll really help. But more importantly, I encourage you to talk to them about what they're doing without the ball. Talk to them about the equal sign and the expectations. Talk to them about competition and trying to be brave and play with freedom because the percentages are in your favor. Okay? And I think you'll get a more well-rounded student, a more well-rounded athlete and player, and one that has more fun trying in the competition, trying to win out there each and every day for them and for your team. Any questions? I kind of want to open up the last part for Q&A. Any scenarios, doesn't have to be about today or last night, what we spoke about, or anything that's on your mind, any situations you're going through, any stories you want to hear. Yep, I'll come back.
Why doesn't Isner serve volley?
Great question. Why doesn't John Isner, 6'11", serve and volley? Well, now that he's with me, you'll probably see that more. But the reason is when you're that tall, obviously your strengths are your reach, your power, your angles on the serve, okay, but you also have the disadvantages. Tough to get down, tough to move, tough to redirect. And if you watch Stefan Edberg, if you watch Patrick Rafter in the day, serve and volleying is very, very athletic. It's very, very rigorous and tough on your body. Okay, yes, the points can be shorter, but it's different movement. It's different movements up and back. It's really getting low. Yes, the baseline stuff is not easy. We see what Nadal puts his body through, but there's a lot more flow there. So, good question. I will be implementing that more to shorten the points. But I think one reason he doesn't is because he's comfortable that he's either going to hit an ace. For all of you that have big servers out there, he's either going to hit a big serve and he's going to have the short ball that he can attack rather than hitting the big serve and rushing in, and sometimes that duff return of a guy just trying to get it back or a girl just trying to get it back. Now it's a low volley. And he'd rather just have a high forehand that's also his weapon that he can crank. So, but great question, and trust me, I'll be working on that. I'll come back here. Yep.
In doubles, I've always been, hey, you gotta control the net. Get both players up there, control the net. But now, in regards to returning situations, I'm flexible. Hey, if the guy's poaching, hey, let's play two back.
Yep.
In serving, though, I've never wanted my server's partner to go back to the baseline and play two back. What's your take?
I wouldn't either. Serving is supposed to be the time when we have the advantage. It's the one time we control the shot clock, so to speak. It's on our watch, right? It's our time. They got to adjust to us. So there should be an advantage there. I know we have certain, again, like we talked about, job description, skill sets, where our players or just haven't developed that serve yet, or maybe that's just not their strength. But the returner still has to adjust. So I'm a big fan of always playing up on that. So what I would say first to try, and I'm not opposed to mixing it in and staying back, because if that's working and our skill set and job description, as I got 2 players that don't miss ever from the baseline, they're steady, maybe it's something to mix in to throw them off to win that point or win that tiebreaker. But overall, I would say to adjust the position of the net person, maybe they're just a little close. Maybe their skill set, they're not comfortable, but we still need them up to give that visual pressure. Have them stand back a little bit. Okay, give them a little bit more space, a little bit more time to see the return, a little bit more time to close. Bob Bryan used to start a little bit further back, but then he would close in and time it off his brother's serve. Mike Bryan, the twin brother, would start in closer. His timing was better, and he would get really, really close to the net and just kind of what we call cherry pick. Obviously, it's the greatest team in history, but just an example from them. So good. If you need to mix it in to throw them off, I'm all about that. I don't mind that, but teaching them the right way, playing up, better advantage, develop that skill set, just have them back up a little bit, give them a little bit more time, and then you can kind of work on the eye-hand coordination and the reflex on the volley.
Yeah, I know you talk about building a base of confidence with all these techniques. What happens when the garbage hits the fan in a match? Do some of the players have any techniques to kind of regroup within the allotted amount of time, like that you would recommend?
Yeah. So great question here. What happens when our players go through difficult times and the you-know-what hits the fan, right? And we're trying to get them to stay focused and get to that 52%. Am I saying that right? Okay, and get them over that hurdle during that difficult emotional moment during the match. My job is difficult on tour because these players are playing for their families, their lives, their careers, and there's money and there's pressure. But your job is also very difficult because you're dealing with multiple personalities, multiple age groups that are going through all their changes in life, things at home, things at school. Very, very difficult. Very difficult. So it's the same. Okay? Both difficult, both emotional. Okay? And so when something's going on in a match, how do we get them to get through that? Great question. And I'll give you one example. One thing that's so great about the Bryan brothers is they love giving back. A lot of charity work, a lot of exhibitions, and they're still doing it probably more than ever now that they're retired. And so about 8 months ago, I asked them if they would talk to Austin and give them some insight to help Austin get into that top 10 and hopefully win a slam one day. Of course, they were absolutely. And I said, Mike, you're one of the best returners in the world. You face so many pressure situations because when that format changed to no ad, you basically took every one because he was the better returner. I go, what did you do? Like, it seemed like you made so many of them under extreme pressure. And I was expecting, I turned my grip a quarter notch, loosened the tension, stood in 3 inches, stood over to the left, right, moved in more. And he said, I relaxed my face more. I relaxed my gut more. And then I knew he was serious. He kept going. I'm like, that actually is making sense. And then he said, I relaxed my hands more. What was the common denominator in all 3 of those statements? Not easy to do with all the emotion of competition and winning and wanting to perform. Remember, they're wanting to perform for not only themselves, but for their teammates, for you, for their parents maybe. A lot of pressure. So now that coaching is legal in my world, if you ever listen closely and you know my voice now on TV, or if you come to the matches, you will hear me say a lot, to Austin, to Hans, to Yvonne Dodig, or now to John Isner. Hey, be brave, buddy. Big moment, big break point. Hey, relax the hands here. Stay loose. In fact, with John Isner's first week of practice, on his backhand, he tends, when it gets up, to get a little bit stiff when the ball gets high. I said, hey, I know coaches have been telling you it's all your legs because you're so tall. I said, I really don't care about your legs this next few weeks. I want your upper body to be loose and free so that your hands snap through the ball more. Just try that. Have some fun with it. Those were my coaching comments to him. All of a sudden, he was loose. He knows how to hit the ball. The ball started flying off his strings. He started getting better depth. He started looking like he was having fun more and less stressed. Started getting more results off the backhand side, off the high ball. Okay, so I think if we can find ways and trigger points for each of these players, and I know they're all different, that's our job. That's why we're great coaches, is because we got to find a way to get the information to each of these players, and they're all unique. They're all taught different and different backgrounds and different nervous systems. But how much fun is that challenge? We got to find a way to keep it fun, to keep them playing free, to keep them relaxed. The percentages help, the equal sign helps, the expectations help. Yes, we got to be hard on them, we got to be disciplined, we got to be tough sometimes, okay, but make it fun. Help them play brave, because the percentages, it doesn't matter. Tell them to play a return game and try to hit a winner off the second serve return. Tell them to play a set, okay, where it doesn't matter the result. Okay, get them thinking about the process and playing the ball, relaxing their face, relaxing their gut, relaxing their hands. And what Mike and Bob said is, when I'm relaxed, last thing I'll end up with, Bob was working with a kid, and the kid was trying to volley, and of course it's Bob Bryan, and so he was nervous. He was a 9-year-old kid, and he was trying harder and trying harder and trying harder, and Bob came over and he goes, hey, Jimmy, come over here. And he said, you're doing great. You're doing so good. And he said, don't try so hard. And then here was the key. He said, I love this, the way he said it. If you relax your fingers and relax your hand on the grip, there's magic in your hands. There's magic in your hands. That's true on the volley. That's true on the serve. That's true on the returns, those first two shots that start every point. If you relax your hands, relax your upper body, loose grip, there's magic and freedom in your game, in your hands, in your swing, in your shots. And I think that's a great lesson for all of us. When I go out and hit, when I go out and play, here I'm teaching it for 25 years and I'm tight as a drum. And I'm like, magic in the hands. I loosen up and then I start hitting higher percentage and I start hitting some of my best shots because I have more feel and more freedom. We know how to hit the ball. And a lot of these players, especially as they get more advanced, they know how to hit the ball. Okay? Take the emotion out of it. Let them be brave. Let them play with freedom. And you'll start to just see them excel. Yep. Perfect.
I just wonder how many of us coaches have seen our kids hit the perfect return when it's a fault.
Beautifully said.
Because they're relaxed.
Did everybody hear that? How many times have we seen our players, our kids, ourselves, hit the best return off of a serve that was out? We know it's out. It's 8 inches out. We swing anyways. Perfect return down the line or cross court. Right? Why? Doesn't matter. Okay? Doesn't matter. We're relaxed. There's freedom. We're loose. Steph Curry starts out the game missing 4 shots. He's developed that theory. Doesn't matter. Why? Why doesn't it matter? He's 0 for 4 to start the game. He knows the next one's going in. He knows his average is 4 or 5. And that's the best shooter in history. One of the best. He's going to win games. He's won 4 NBA titles. Keep letting it fly. So keep letting your students fly. Magic in the hands. Thank you so much for having me. Thanks so much to the TTCA for Thank you so much to Wilson and to all the sponsors. What a great conference. What a great weekend. Most of all, thanks so much to all of you for being great leaders, great teachers, great coaches. Thanks so much for your time to dedicate to all these students and these players and their lives. You make a huge difference. You may not always feel it, but trust me, you do, and you'll know it. You'll see it, you'll feel it one day. So thank you guys so much. Enjoy. Thank you.